Hey, it's Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and it's going to be a busy to back or not to back this week. We have giveaway announcements, multiple giveaway announcements. We have campaigns that are not funding. We have board game adjacent campaigns. We have to back. We have the regular, campaigns left and right and center, as well as various updates. To the point that I actually ended up pushing off two of the things I was going to cover, just because it's that kind of jam packed. Now, timestamps is always in the thing down below, that the thing place where the timestamps are. And with that, let's go ahead and jump into it. So starting off the bat, we're going to have the first giveaway, which is going to be the giveaway for the Wingspan Deluxeification, all bits upgraded, insert player markers, player markers, and then Meeple source upgrades as well. Whole bunch of stuff for Wingspan. And for that, all you have to do was comment on this video. Just to be clear, I'm drawing the giveaway now, which means you have to have commented on this video past tense, not after this video. It's too late now. And we're gonna head over here to the YouTube comment picker. Why am I over there? The YouTube comment picker over here. And over there, I just excluded myself because I don't want to win it. And we have, duplicate users filtered, the URL, and we're gonna go ahead and hit winner select on this. And we have as follows. Who do we have? We have Basuki Juano. We have loving the upgrades. Make sure to reach out to me. If I do not hear from you by next Sunday, then I will be drawing another winner instead. So I'll try to find your comment and reply to it just so you have that. Otherwise, I hope you're watching this video. But again, till next Sunday I will have to draw another winner if you do not reach out. From there, we have the giveaways for multiple $50 gift cards, and that's effectively going to be that the way I structured this one, it was a little bit complicated, but the way I structured this, Quacklope and I were, pushing subs towards each other, trying to cross each other, but then not cross each other. Long story. Short version is that at the time, it was 2,700. He had 20, what was that? It was 30, I can't do numbers here. It was 2,400 and 24,000. I'm doing this wrong. 24,700 subs was where he is at, and I crossed him at 24,200, which is an additional 500 subs, which means an additional 5 gift cards are being drawn. So in this one, I'm going over here, and you have to comment beard. Again, past tense, you have to have commented beard on his video, at which point that's going to be over here, filter comments based on the word beer, and we're going to go ahead and draw 5 different winners here, no duplicates. Let's start off the bat. Starting off the bat, we have Steve Denyer, so make sure to reach out to me. Red Beards Unite, I agree. Reach out. I'll try to find your comment and reply. Next up, pick another one, and we are going to have lots of people just rattling through here. We have Joshua Gwynn, a great big bushy beard. I agree. We're going for number 3 here. Number 3 is going to be Zareth Dragneel. You're an amazing person. I can notice him from making this video, and your awesome beard. Again, agreed. Awesome beards are awesome. Some comments, by the way, in the beards were really amusing. I did enjoy them. Benjamin Hall. Wow, what a magnificent beard you have, Jesse. Everyone should fear the beard. Keep it the quality content. You've just gained a new subscriber. Awesome, Benjamin. Glad you won. And we have one last winner. Radoslow Cosmo. You guys are crazy, by the way. Nice beard. Quack. That is 5 beards, $250, short of the $1,500 cap I put on it. Then again, $1,500 was always going to be a tough stretch. I didn't want to give $1,500 away. That's a lot. So I just put a cap for the sake of having an arbitrary cap. $250, 5 different $50 gift cards. I will try to comment on each of your things, but make sure to reach out to me. Same rules apply. If I don't hear back from you next week, I'll be picking a different subsequent replacement is the word I'm looking for. Replacement winners next week. And from there, we move on to board game adjacent, starting off with the Witcher hybrid dice. So, the Witcher hybrid dice are going to be a dice set covering the Witcher dice. I actually covered that back in that Deluxeification video over here. I have them somewhere over here. Let's see, Witcher dice, Chai Tea, nope, Railroad Ink, Witcher dice, over here. So, if we watch this video, if I hit play, will it go? Let's see. Yeah, over here we have the dice over here in the video, but either way, you can check out that URL. I go through the dice overall. In fact, I have them. Where are they? Oh no, my son took them. Here we go. They are actually over here. We have some of these dice over here. They've become some of my go-to dice to fiddle with. I like fiddling with things on camera, and I really appreciate the metal heft that these guys give. Between these and the metal guys from Wyrmwood, I like these guys for fiddling with lots of little chunky heft in your hands. But either way, that's going to go back to the Witcher dice. These Witcher dice are going to be fairly expensive, all things considered. I think they're catered very much to, well, RPG players, people who are willing to pay that much for dice, or people who want to pick up a set of dice for the Witcher board game. In the Witcher board game that is coming to Kickstarter May 26th, I believe, there are going to be dice and poker and things like that. I don't know what dice there are, so I don't know what exactly you would or wouldn't need. But that said, We're going to have over here, I think they have a pledge level for it over here, but they have lots of different pledge levels for lots of different dice, lots of different colors. But keep in mind, if you want a classic set of RPG dice, it's going to be running you roughly $100 to get, these dice, which is a lot of money. Metal, don't get me wrong, they're metal and they're cool, they're chunky, they're heft, but also a lot of money, so factor that in. Keep in mind, with all the adjacent stuff, with all board game adjacent stuff, I don't really comment on value, because I don't know what the resale value is of metal, chunky Witcher dice. They are cool, and keep in mind the campaign is doing very well. $200,000 raised towards Witcher dice. That is insane. As far as colors, there's some pretty cool colors. Look at the Ether over here. That's pretty cool. We have, tons of the Blood Moss. The Blood Moss was a little hard to read. I think that's the one I have. It's a little hard to read. It's not bad, but it's a little not immediately obvious. We have the Albedo, which looks great. We have the Vermilion. And by the way, they have two different options. They have the regular plastic or metal. So if you want to keep your price down, the cost down, but you like the general design, you can get the plastic ones. Or if you want the metal ones, that's where you're going to pay a little bit more, but you will get, cooler, chunky heft dice. Here are going to be all the colors. I do recommend checking out the various pictures of each color, because, for instance, just using a basic example, these either dice over here, they don't look nearly as good over here as they do if you find them in the picture below. So if you find them over here, they look much better over here than they do in just this singular little glance at that. So check those out. Look at the various options. For myself, I think Hydrogenum and Q-Birth. Q-Birth was pretty cool too. Lots of cool options for these dice. Very intrigued, and that's going to be the Witcher dice. Speaking of Wyrmwood, because, the Wyrmwood meeple I just showed you. Well, this is not going to be a meeple, but Dispel is teaming up with Wyrmwood for a Kickstarter, and this one's doing $1.4 million. I'm clearly in the wrong business. I will be closing up this video and starting a company to make dice, because apparently that's the thing. Now, don't take it with a grain of salt. I'm not trying to throw shade at anyone. There's a lot of things that have to go into actually making quality productions, and Wyrmwood has done a lot to deserve their name, their reputation. Dispel I'm not as familiar with, but I mean, 1.4 million that's a big testament. As far as the dice themselves, the dice are not going to be $15. This is a key thing you want to pay attention to. This $15 over here is effectively marketing. What they do is $15 buys you access to go ahead and pick out the dice, and they have a dice calculator so you can buy whatever you want. But in short, looking through most of these, you're going to have things like $60 is going to be the entry point for a full set of dice. If you want a full set of dice, it's going to be $60. And then they have optional add-ons, single D20, all that. That's why the $15, that's going to buy you a single die. That's what you're getting for $15. It's not going to give you a set of dice. And then from there, if you keep scrolling down through a ton of very, very pretty colors, some that were pretty, some that were not, that's obviously personal taste. We will all share, and we all have our own personal taste. These scarlet ones are pretty cool. I like those a lot. We have, what else do we have over here? We have some pretty cool ones. The Dewdrop ones I thought would be very hard to read. Like, I can't see the numbers, so I don't know if that's a thing that you're interested in, and I don't know if it's better in person. The black ones are nice, but they're plain. They're a little too plain. The marble ones are very cool. There was a beautiful blue one that I particularly enjoyed. Let's see over here. Was it this one? I don't think it was the blue turquoise. I think it was another one, but I could be wrong. It might have been the blue turquoise. Let's see what else we have. We have Obsidian. Again, hard to see the numbers, but hey, they're definitely premium looking. Throw that together with your black credit card or something. We have Bloodstone. We have Hematite. Ooh, is that? Oh, I do love Hematite. I have always loved the material Hematite. $100 for those, but I do love Hematite. And then we have, what else do we have? More of these colors, or these prism rainbows. But yeah, you can see how they go all the way up to $125, up from $60 to an entry point to $125, and that's for a set as opposed to singular dice. And that's $1.5 million raised so far. And at this point, you're just going into different waves, as far as wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, to actually get your hands on those dice. From there, we move to Kickstarters that are not yet funding. We have Legends of Void. Legends of Void is one that I anticipate will not currently fund. With 5 days to go and $35,000 left, I don't see this one funding. I talked about it already 2 weeks ago, I want to say. And overall, I hope they come back. I am very intrigued by the game. I haven't done my full degree of homework into the game, because until it was funding, it's just, I'm not going to put the time into it. But it's one that, at a surface level, I'm certainly intrigued. I want to find out more. I want to see more. I hope they come back to Kickstarter with whatever. I mean, if they don't fund, obviously, then I hope they come back to Kickstarter and knock it out of the park next time, because I'd love to see what happens with this game. From there, we have Cyber-Odyssey, which is also not yet funding. We have a few in the not yet funding category. This one, I would imagine, with 10 days to go, based on where they are now, and based on how they just launched last week, I imagine this one will fund, but it will probably be, slightly over. I would say, in general, Red Joker for most of their campaigns, if you exclude If you exclude Oko Chronicles, if you exclude Oko Chronicles, most of their campaigns do tend to land about 500 to 700 backers. This looks like it's going to be exactly in that range. 391 backers so far. By the time it closes, you're probably looking around 500, 550 or so. So it's in the typical range for them. Plus, they have this whole thing where day one, like everything launched with French pledges. If you scroll down here, you can actually find over here. And this part I didn't actually know. This is thanks to King of Average. I saw this, but these pledges over here, day one, they're all in French, which means people who jumped in on day one may have not come back, or may just have thought, oh, well, it's a French campaign, I guess I'll, skip this one. So it definitely could have hurt them as well, lost them maybe, I don't know, maybe it lost them 2 backers, maybe it lost them 100. It's hard to really know with those things. As far as the game itself, speaking of King of Average, I do recommend watching his video to get more information on the game. This is a lot of stuff going on in this game, and I don't know this nearly well enough to talk about it competently, talk about it competently. But lots going on here, lots of player upgrades. You're going to be basically sending your agents to solve these strange murders and collect clues and whatnot, but that's overall the theme. The actual gameplay-wise, you have these map aspects, you have lots of powers and companions and different things that are all intermingling to give you the experience, but I don't know enough to talk about the game competently, not coherently, although I can't talk coherently about talking about it competently, apparently. But anyways, that's going to be that. It's 2 to 4 player experience, not solo, 120 minutes. Short version as far as value is Red Joker's campaigns have generally fallen into the stance of you're going to get most of your money back, but not all. You're going to certainly lose some of it on the secondhand market. Just the small enough audiences that it's harder to, it doesn't have that hype, that buzz that follows many of these larger campaigns. The amount of content you're getting in this, keep in mind, the pledge levels over here is $97, 80 euro, $97 for the base pledge, and then 90 euro, 109 for the early cyber pledge that gives you the expansion, the small little expansion that's available there. And that's a lot of money for what is a lot of game, but you have to turn around. If it's not a game for you, then what do you do with that? So as far as value, I would say it falls into that category of if you want the game, it may be your best chance to get it because your alternative is waiting for the second-hand market, hoping a copy is available at a price point that you want, and occasionally getting it. It's just there's not a lot of their games in the wild, so to speak. But as far as holding its value, expect to lose something. Likely not a lot, but you should expect to lose something. I think we have one more not funding. We have one more not funding before we head into the updates. So, Glory, 2nd edition. This is going to be, well, shockingly enough, the 2nd edition of a game called Glory. Glory is going to be a RPG style game that has a dry erase situation going on. You can see over here, you have your dry erase over here where you can note your specials, you can have your power, your health, your glory. The goal is to get to 20 glory. It plays in around 45 minutes to an hour and a half. I think it's solo as well. I believe it has 1 to 4 players, 60 to 90 minutes is what you're going to be looking at for the game, so not 45, 60 to 90 minutes as you slowly but surely, write down stuff, to buy coins, buy weapons, get glory, or upgrade your stats, all of that as you explore this world. The game is rated pretty decently on Board Game Geek. The original Glory, this is the 2nd edition, the original Glory is, I believe, a 7.8 on Board Game Geek, but also has a tiny audience, and the price point of this is not cheap. You're looking at $62 to get the 2nd edition of the game, which comes with the 350 coded cards that you can write on and all that stuff. Overall, looks intriguing. I love things that you can write on. I like roll and writes in general. Those are my weak point. This is not a roll and write. That's different classification, but this does have that similar feel of that quick and dirty accessibility in gameplay because you're just writing things down with dry erase markers. Then for $98, you also get the deluxe editions, the Dragon Shine cards, the PVC map, all these extras as well. As far as value on this one, the short version is this is unlikely to hold this value at all. It's a little harder to know because this is RPG adjacent, so it could be that it's seeing an audience and resale value in a market that I'm not following. But in the board game market, there's just not a lot of demand for Glory, and the price point of selling these after the fact is you're able to get them for a lot less than the original Kickstarter. I imagine that will hold true as well here. Your options, I would say, is as a consumer, if you're looking to buy it, get it on the Kickstarter, and, not get on the Kickstarter. If you are willing to take a hit on it, then go ahead and back it on the Kickstarter. Alternatively, if you're not sure on it, then I would say wait around, check out the secondhand market, see if the copy pops up that's cheaper there, or maybe check out the original. Maybe check out the original campaign. Maybe the original Glory is going to do enough for you. It's intriguing. Rated well, seems like a cool system, but just not a lot of buy-in, not a lot of people who are following or backing this game. And then we're going to move on to Marvel United, but drink time first. So, Marvel United X-Men more specifically. First of all, is full update video on this yesterday, on Sunday, so I'm going to not go into this extensively. I would say that I would expect this I would expect that it's Monday now, so probably we're going to see an all-in pledge either today or possibly Tuesday. I'd imagine Monday. Tuesday is really waiting until the last minute. Then again, they have done that in the past, so it could go either way. They also do have a track record of releasing things the day after I talk with them, so that's really why I'm talking about it here. I will not be extensively going into it in this video, because I did that yesterday for 22 minutes talking extensively about Marvel United. The very short version is they have a whole bunch of things. I'm going to scroll through it here. I'll try to spend like 2 minutes on it, but that's about it. So if we skip past all the stretch goals, we have basically, we're looking at this point, it's a $390 all-in for this game before we take into account any combined all-in pledges. That is a lot of money for this game, and that's ignoring that whatever you spent on the original Marvel United. That's just the X-Men pledge, and that's going to be giving you a few things. It's going to be giving you $390. It's going to be giving you $95 worth. I think it's 95. It might have been 85. $95 or $85 worth of upgrades, non-gameplay stuff like the playmat, the cardboard locations, and the plastic upgraded tokens, and then the remaining $290 is giving you all the gameplay from the base game for $65, the $35 for the Apocalypse expansion, and then all the other expansions one at a time from all that. So we have over here, you can see the optional buys. We have Days of Future Past, which gives you these 3 huge Sentinels for $45. That's also going to give you, it's going to give you its own scenario, as well as the Sentinels can be used in other maps as well. For $30, you get the Deadpool expansion, which is giving you Deadpool characters, also Deadpool as a villain, also Deadpool as an anti-hero, a little bit of breaking the fourth wall. You be wary of this one because it's going to have you do things that are silly, which may or may not be your thing. Do you have to shout when you do damage? There's a degree of breaking the fourth wall in the game, so that may or may not be your cup of tea. From there, we have $30 for the blue team and $30 for the gold team. Either of these are going to give you the gameplay components or things you need to be able to play this game head-to-head, 2 teams fighting against each other to take on the villain first. So you only need one of these if you're trying to be conservative with your money and get what you need out of the gameplay. But if you want all the heroes in both, well, that's when you'll have to buy both, which is why they put fun heroes in both of them. Do you want Gambit? Well, you're gonna have to get this one. Do you want Iceman? You're gonna have to get this one. So they definitely know what they're doing, those come on guys over there. For there, we have $30 for First Class. First Class is going to give you a bunch of characters, as well as the training room module, which can be added to any location in order to basically buff up, give the heroes a boost when they're having trouble against difficult heroes. And then finally, we have the Phoenix 5. Phoenix 5 is going to give you both. This Phoenix 5, actually, from all the campaign options I've seen in Marvel, from Apocalypse, from Thanos to Phoenix 5, I believe Phoenix 5 is the one that looks most appealing to myself. Keep in mind, I haven't actually played any of them. I need to play Thanos so far. I need to play the Infinity Gauntlet expansion. I have not done so yet. But Phoenix 5 looks the coolest to me offhand, just in terms of the way the characters stack up their abilities, each one powering up the next villain as you slowly progress through this campaign, taking them all out one at a time. And lastly, we have the plastic tokens, and then the X-Men playmat, and the X-Men cardboard locations. And that's, again, before we even talk about the $220 to get everything from the classic bundle of the original campaign. You are talking about spending over $600 to get everything from Marvel United. That is absolute insanity. And also, I guarantee you there are some people doing it, and I went all in on the original, and I'm going all in here too. It's not what I recommend, but it's what I'm doing. And that's going to be the update on Marvel United. Moving past that, we have Canvas, Reflections expansion, and Reprint. There's not much in the way of updates over here. Basically, I'm just dropping in to say I did a review on this last Tuesday, so you can find that on the channel. I did a review of Canvas. Very short version is Canvas is delightful. Canvas is absolutely delightful. We actually just played it. We played it a whole bunch of times for the review, then we just played it like 4 times this past weekend as well. We keep pulling it out. It is light. It is accessible. It is light. Don't get me wrong. But it has the Century Spice Road style gameplay where you're putting down tokens to get cards. Plain simple. Something been done before. But then the way you try to make these paintings in a way that merges different things and tries to fulfill different objectives, it really gives you a little bit of a puzzle. A light puzzle, to be sure, but a puzzle that is worth playing. This is not a gimmick of a game. It's a game that the gimmick combines beautifully with the gameplay in a way that gives you a cohesive engine. To the point that I was talking about it, I gave it a 3 out of 5 in my review, and I'm holding to that for now, but it's one that I can see it climbing if the allure of it doesn't fade over 15-20 plays, because lighter games do have that fading allure for myself. But if the allure doesn't fade, then it's one that I'll be very interested in. Past that, I did want to show, well, I want to show 2 things over here. First of all, is for those who didn't get the idea of the reversible cards. So we have these reversible cards in the expansion. The expansion is going to give you, where are we over here? The expansion is going to give you, if I can find the GIF, here we go. We have reverse, nope, not this one over here. I thought it was over here. maybe this GIF is not loading for me. I don't know. There are going to be reversible cards, some GIF somewhere on this page, that the cards reverse back and forth, so you can use them in their front end and their backside. But to give you an idea of how that works, you're going to have illustrations on those cards, and the illustration will be something different depending on which side it's on. So you have an astronaut versus so you have a marine or whatever it is versus an astronaut. You have airplanes versus birds. The illustration shifts but uses the same shape, so you get this double feeling. That's completely not related to the gameplay, but it's a cute little immersive thing. Then the actual bars on the bottom will flip to be different locations and have different symbols on them. I don't know what it means for the gameplay itself. The gameplay, I could see it arguably being more fiddly in terms of the fact that you might have to look at the front and back of a card before deciding. Also, you're given a full different card row, which can open up your options for those who felt that they sometimes had trouble getting the right card to score. So you have another card row, which gives you more flexibility in terms of that. That's what the expansion is going to give you. Overall, so the same thing. I'll say the same thing I said last time about it, which is given the way the first campaign went and the way it has held its value, I think this is more than just the initial fluff I thought it was when I covered the campaign last year. And I think the expansion will do just fine holding its value as well. It's one that's very hard to get a hold of right now, and it's one that has a lot of buzz, and I understand exactly why it does. It is lightweight, but it's simple, it's appealing, it is a solid gateway game that I hope is around for the next 5-10 years. This is a very solid game that I'm very impressed by. But additionally to that, the last thing I want to cover is in the new expansion, if you want to get the canvas easels, they don't have the canvas easels for the deluxe. If you want to back the deluxe over here, then you do not get the canvas easels from the original expansion. Additionally, even if you did get the canvas easels from the original expansion, you only got one per player, which is just, I mean, I want to show all my paintings. And so just letting you know, I popped over to Amazon. For $10, you can get 12 little easels that will hold your cards just fine. That's $10, and you get 12 of them, which is enough for a full complement of a 4-player game. If you're playing a 5-player game, you'll need to, well, figure it out. But if you're playing a 4-player game, that's going to be 3 easels for each player to display their paintings for $10. I make no guarantees as far as what they're going to sit in the box or not, and whether they'll fit or not. I'll throw an Amazon link down below, affiliate link, so I'll make 3 cents on it, or for each person who buys it, whatever it is. I don't know actually how much the affiliates are, but worth noting, I get something from that. But yeah, this is going to be something I'll be buying this as soon as I'm done with this video, because I want some easels to display my paintings in that game. Moving on from there, we have Connecting Flights. This is going to be a very short update on Connecting Flights, but effectively I plan to have coverage of this one soon. The short version, I'm not sure exactly what's going to fall on my schedule, but I do have the prototype. It was sent to me by the Hungry Gamer, so I did have a chance to play it and try it. So far, I've only been able to play the solo version. If I can get a cooperative, competitive, if I can get a competitive game in with some people before the campaign ends, I'll do a full review of both. If I can't, then I'll just have a solo review, but as well as thoughts of my opinion as how it translates to competitive. I have read the rules for competitive. I can sort of see, but we'll go through that. But either way, my point is I'll have coverage, and overall, so I've only played solo. Short Note is incredibly thinky experience, but also very rewarding. We'll cover more of the highlights as far as when I actually do a review, one way or the other. And that's going to be all of the updates, which means it's time for a little, not coffee break, by the way. This is seltzer right now, so fun fact, you're not actually supposed to drink seltzer before a podcast or video, because seltzer gives you that little feeling of just wanting to do a burp, and that's awkward. I burped once on camera a long time ago, and it was a really awkward burp that I didn't realize, and I left it in because I don't know what I'm doing here. Anyways, so moving on to the new stuff. We're going to have Great Siege of Solitaire game series. This is going to be a game series that has 6 days to go, and 478 backers, $71,000, which is very impressive what's going on here. 1759 Siege of Quebec is going to be a reprint and also a slight update to the game. 1565 and 1414 are both going to be new games. And that's going to be basically 3 games together in a series, all about sieges. They share similar gameplay elements while having unique things that are different game to game, so it does give you that difference in that sense. As far as the games themselves, they're all giving you, like I said, they all are a solo experience. Sorry for the scrolling back and forth. They are all a solo experience. 2 of them have a 2-player mode as well, but they're all strictly speaking designed to be around a solo experience with a roughly hour playtime as you deal with the respective sieges of each of these locations. That's going to be the overall game of what's going on over here. As far as price points, they're basically coming in at $54, I think it was, or $59. $59 for each one of them. If you buy a bundle of 2 of them, then that drops to $54. And if you buy a bundle of all 3, that drops down to, what was it again? That drops down to, if you own a bundle of all 3, it drops down to $50. That's what it was. Yeah, $50 each. I can't do math. I'm just distracted here. The ideal buy would have been if you had gotten that early bird for $135, which would have dropped the price down to $45 each. As far as should you back it, should you not, holding its value, a short version on these is they will not sell for the full price in the secondhand market. I'm primarily using 1759 as a base point because that's the one that's out. But on the secondhand market, you get that one for between $30 to $35 plus shipping. So that's going to be significantly less than the $50 you paid. Not significantly, it's going to be less than the $50 you paid for it. I imagine that will extend to the other two as well. So if you are going to get them, the best back is likely going to be getting an all-in pledge, at which point, if you're getting it at $50 a piece, once you factor in the shipping of the secondhand market, then it's roughly equivalent, possibly paying a bit more, but getting them on your timeline. If you're only getting one, I'd recommend waiting for the secondhand market. There's nothing specifically here that's going to be particularly amazing to get, so it's particularly extra or hard to get. So I would recommend the secondhand market if you're only getting one. I just think it'll be cheaper down the road. But if you're getting a bunch of them, then as the price drops with each one, it becomes closer to being equitable in that sense. And if you're able to get into the early bird, that's where the place at $45 a piece compared to secondhand market compared to shipping. $45 a piece, I think, is the sweet spot on this one for being able to get them at the best price you possibly can while being competitive to how it'll play out down the road. That's going to be the Siege series. Moving on from there, we have Harsh Shadows. Harsh Shadows is going to be a $12 game. That means no matter how good a deal it is, we'll come down to it. So Harsh Shadows is going to be a solo experience where you lay out this grid of cards and then you move around trying to acquire different cards. There might be bombs or traps or things that get in your way. There might be clues or equipment, things that will help you, and ultimately trying to build out this clue to nail down the spy as you go through the game. Meanwhile, the spy is going to be taking turns moving around the board, making you discard cards. It's a little solo experience with some strategy, some luck, combining it together into an experience that will plays in a short time frame and at a very reasonable price of $12 for the game. That's going to be $12 for the game, which is going to be over here, $12. That's $3 off the retail price of $15, and the shipping is $5. So you're effectively paying $17 for a game that's going to have a retail price of $15, which means it's going to be available online for around $11, $12, somewhere in that range. So you're paying $17, getting for around $11, $12. That means you are definitely overpaying for this game. There's almost no question. If it makes its way to retail, then this game will be cheaper on in retail with free shipping online. Past that, though, the difference you're talking about here is $5-6. So that's your call as far as, do you care about, the $5-6? You just want to get in on the game now? Overall, it's doing fairly well. I'm very happy for them. 920 backers, $14,000, which is pretty solid for a $12 game. Reasonably priced. No offense to them. It's just, again, we've talked about this in the past. The nature of smaller games on Kickstarter is they're just harder to give a good deal to. It's just the price point thing. You can't do much with it. And so that's going to be Harsh Shadows. A decent price, but also one that will probably be available cheaper down the road at retail. Moving on, we have R&D games with Keyper at Sea, an expansion to the game Keyper, not Keyflow, because, fun fact, before we get into the game, Keyflow, each of these expansions, each of these tiers over here says, let's see, we have Keyper at Sea, one copy of Keyflow, including stretch goals. So that's a little bit confusing if you were wondering what you're talking about in terms of Keyflow. They addressed this in an update. The short version, for those who don't know, the short version is a mistake, but for those who don't know, you can't make changes to pledge levels that people have already jumped in on Kickstarter. You just can't do that. So now you have a choice. You can cancel the whole thing for this typo, or you can just kind of deal with it. So they posted an update, and they posted, if anyone wants Keyflow, they can get Keyflow. If anyone wants Keyper, they can get Keyper. We'll make it work in that sense. We apologize for the mistake. Granted, there might be some people who think they're getting Keyper and Keyflow. Those people will be disappointed. Hopefully the update gets them in time. They did announce that they are firing the house elf that made that mistake. I recommend they watch the fourth. They recommend they read the fourth and fifth book of Harry Potter. You should not casually fire house elves. It's cruel. It's a cruel thing out there. I spoo, do you? Yeah, basically. So Keyper at Sea. Keyper at Sea is going to be an expansion to Keyper. Keyper is going to be a game on Board Game Geek. Well, it's a game everywhere. On Board Game Geek, it's a 7.3. Solid game. A little bit lightweight, but it's a worker placement game with an interesting aspect that as you place workers, other people can kind of follow their workers with similar workers. Some other twists to it. And Keyper at Sea is giving you a lot more to the game. More locations, more stuff, more scoring, more different facets to the game. Additionally, it's coming with a solo mode from David Tursi for both Keyper and Keyper at Sea. If you don't already have Keyper, you can get the base game over here in the Kickstarter. You cannot get the character edition of Keyper, which is a more limited exclusive version of the original base game. But basically, for $32 or £33, $45, you get Keyper at Sea. For $49, you can get Keyper Standard Edition, and then you can get a bundle of where is it over here? For $83, you can get Keyper Standard Edition plus Keyper at Sea, giving you all that content for the game. And then the character edition is only 150 backers, and those rewards are gone unless someone potentially cancels. So you can keep an eye for that, see if someone cancels, and jump in on their option. The character expansion is giving you a bunch of meeples from MeepleSource, I believe, as well as gameplay aspects. So they carry a various tool, matching icons, so it gives you additional gameplay in addition to fun upgrades to the game, but you don't need that. That's just an extra. Think of it as an extra module to your game. As far as the game, should you back it, should you not? The short version with Keyper is that Keyper in general, the whole Key universe, the whole Cathedral, Keyper, Keyflower, they all are fairly hard to get. They are often between print runs and not carried at all retailers. So it's one of those things that's going to be hard to get. In fact, Keyper is a game that the $49 price tag over here, I couldn't find it for cheaper than $49 online unless you're getting it used. So if you're getting it, new, I only found one store that has it for $49. So the pricing does seem reasonable. It does not seem like it's good pricing. It seems like it's fair pricing, reasonable pricing, asking you for your money in advance and giving you a comparable price to what it should be priced at, but no particular deal or discount there. So that falls in the category. As far as getting your money back in it, you almost certainly will take a bit of a hit on it. Looking at copies of Keyper on the secondhand market, again, they're not currently that available, but when they are sold, you can expect to take maybe a $10 hit. Your $50 copy of Keyper, you might be able to get $40 for it on the secondhand market, maybe even less, depending on the time, the point, all that. I imagine Keyper at sea will follow a similar trend, so expect to take a small hit on these if they are not games for you and if you need to resell them. But as far as price point, they are close to, I would say, what is a fair, reasonable price without being a good price. Moving on, we have, this is going to be My Father's Work. This is one of the most requested Kickstarters I have had for a long time, meaning every once in a while, I cover all Kickstarters, or I cover most Kickstarters, and every once in a while, I will have people saying, hey, are you doing a video for X, Y, and Z? And the answer is always in somewhere, or in one way or another, I'm doing a video, either in the to back or not to back, or alternatively as a dedicated video. Now, My Father's Work, I've gotten dozens and dozens of questions for in various comments across the board for, are you covering it, are you covering it, are you covering it, which is great. I mean, with 4,000 backers, I'm definitely covering it. I debated doing a full video on it, but I'm not personally pulled in by this one, and I have found that when I do longer videos on games that I'm not personally intrigued by, it doesn't mean I'm backing it, but intrigued by, then I just don't, I find it sometimes becomes a bit of a filler video where I just try to fill out the time with stuff that I'm not well versed in. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do My Father's Work over here instead. So this is going to be an epic game across 3 generations with worker placement, meeples, and yes, it has an app. That is going to be the main reason why I am not personally pulled in by the game. The app has me completely uninterested on a personal level. It's not that all games with apps I immediately write off. It's that all games that use apps that require an app, I personally am less interested in and need to be that much more pulled in by the rest of the package in order to be intrigued. And in the case of My Father's Work, I am intrigued, but I'm not intrigued enough to get past that app barrier for myself. Now, one day, there will definitely happen one day where I play a game with an app, that an app is essential, and I'm like, this is the best experience ever, I don't care. But until that happens, I'm going to use my past experiences to guide my future ones, because why wouldn't I? So, My Father's Work is going to be a 2 to 4 player game. It does not have solo. It's going to be 180 minutes, a 3-hour long experience, with an app that does save, by the way, and an app that, as far as those who are worried about apps supporting, for me, my issue with apps has nothing to do with them being supported. I just find they take me out of the gameplay. That's one issue. And then secondly, from a practical aspect, on Saturday, on Shabbat, I can't use an app. I can't use any electronics whatsoever, which means 70% of my game time, I can't play any games with apps. So it's a personal bias as well as a general bias of, I just find when I do play them, they pull me out of the gaming experience in a way that I don't enjoy quite as much. But My Father's Work is going to have the app. The app is going to be supported for at least a while, and then even past that, if they ever do not support the app, the Renegade Games said that they will release the code, they'll put it online, do all of that stuff, so that anyone who wants to update it, use it, or whatever it is, can definitely do that. I would say, in general, with something like that, I would say if you are looking to play or experience this game over the next 5 years, you're probably just fine. If you're looking to experience this game 10 years from now, you might be fine, you might not be. It's hard to know. Apps and games are still relatively new. Remember the buzz when Alchemist came out with an app and people were losing their mind, or XCOM? Was XCOM before Alchemist? I don't remember. But it wasn't that long ago when apps were starting to being introduced to games. So I don't think any of us really know what 10 years later looks like for a game that requires an app. But that said, My Father's Work is going to be a worker placement game across 4 generations, as you try to recreate your father's work of basically dark creation. Think Frankenstein as a genre, as a theme here, and it has an interesting gameplay aspect to it, in the sense that as you go through each of these 3 generations, you kind of reset each generation. You kind of just completely reset with losing all your resources, your projects you're in the middle of, all this stuff, but you do gain knowledge. You still are able to maintain and keep knowledge that you have passed from one generation to the next, which has this fascinating gameplay aspect, this choice of what do you invest in as the course of the game goes on. Are you constantly trying to build up for the future in the knowledge sense? Are you trying to build projects because you need to complete those, but if you don't complete them in time, you may not be able to do them? It has this fascinating juggling sense as you have that generational aspect to this game, which plays out very, intriguing. As far as why it's an app, I do want to read this because, why not? Here we go. What do we have? Why an app? We had an app somewhere here. It was definitely somewhere here as far as why an app. I can't find it though. I do want to find it. Somewhere. Okay. Nope, not there, not there, not there. It was somewhere over here. Okay, so I can't find it. It was over here. We have over this part over here. So basically, each scenario features 600,000 wards and a 13 million, no, that's not 13 million, that's 13 trillion. Approximately 1 in 13 trillion chance of having the same twice. That's going to be million, billion, and trillion. Yeah, 13 trillion. So that's a decent chance of, variety or whatnot. But they basically talked about how the app is effectively required because with that many combinations, it would be a fairly expensive book to print if you wanted a book of how things play out. Past that, the game comes with this massive insert full of content over here. It comes with 2 new scenarios that will unlock that give you tons more ways to play the game, more ways to experience the game, each of them bringing a ton of content to your experience. It's priced at $99 for the game. And this is a Renegade exclusive, which means it's not that it's not going to retail. It's not that it won't be available after Kickstarter. It's that they're going to be sold online on their site at a higher price, conventions at a higher price. It will not be going to general distribution, and your options are Kickstarter or paying more later. Speaking of paying more later, that includes in the Pledge Manager. The Pledge Manager pricing will also be more later if you do not back it in the Kickstarter now. So yeah, basically they're not saying it's not available. They're saying it'll be more expensive later. Lots of interesting gameplay aspects to the game, but the overall experience for myself, the reason I'm just not pulled in enough by it, is the rest of the game is fine. It has a cute little thing of that generational aspect, has worker placement. Keep in mind, I'm commenting as someone who has not played the game, but as someone who has to decide if I care enough about the system to be pulled in despite the app. And overall, the rest of the game does look solid. I very much want to try it out. I'm just not personally willing to pay $100 for this game because I have not liked app-based games in the past. Speaking of $100 games, keep in mind, Journeys of Middle-earth and Mansions of Madness are $100 games at retail. They'll be cheaper online. They'll be like $85 or so. But my point is, once you combine the Game Trays insert here, if nothing else, you combine this experience with Game Trays insert, with app development, and a $100 price tag, I think it is very reasonably priced. The only real question as far as holding its value or not is going to be, is it a good game or not? If it's a good game, that $90 price tag will be just fine. I believe you'll be able to sell it for that, if not more. But if it's not a good game, then, there's only so much you can do with something that's not a good game. The other factor to keep in mind is how much they actually do sell it themselves. So if they are selling it $100 in the Kickstarter and $110 online, there's only going to be so much you can actually sell your copy for, because when you can buy it new for $110 or from you for $90 or $100, it's a little harder at that point. So the price after the fact, as well as whether it's a good game or not, are the 2 unknown variables we have over here. But other than that, they're giving you a lot of content, a lot of upgrades, miniatures, washed miniatures, game trays insert, app development. I think the price is fairly reasonable for what you're getting here. It just depends on whether it's an amazing experience past that. Moving on from there, we have Lost Empires by Colossal Games. Lost Empires by Colossal Games, I did a review of this one as well. A short version of this game is it's a 2-player experience vying for control over 3 different battlefields. A common thing we've seen in any number of different games. It is a very common trend. Let me see if I can find the battlefields here. There's no quick picture of the battlefields. Why is there no quick picture of the battlefields? Pictures of cards, pictures of tokens, pictures of more cards, more tokens. Why is there not a single image? Here's the battlefield, but show me a setup thing. Where's the setup? Nothing. Anyways, you can have this battlefield area over here. You can have 1, 2, and 3 areas you're vying for control over. You're going to have your different factions as you generate different cards. You'll be using your resources, your I can't remember the name of what it was, but you can be using your power, whatever it is, to both play cards and to activate cards, moving them around the board, to go to different battlefields, to fight other units, to basically have the most presence at any battlefield, the most control, so you can gain the points over it. Keep doing that until one player has 16 shards, or whatever they're called, and then that player will win the game. The base game is fairly cheap, by the way. Base game is coming in at $19 on a $25 MSRP, and the faction expansion, which gives you the stretch goals, is coming in at $25 on a roughly $40 MSRP, because they're going to have the $25 base game and then $15 for the expansion, which is going to be available from Colossal Games directly. From what I can see, it doesn't seem like the expansion. It doesn't seem like the stretch goals are going to be available in retail, but rather available directly from Colossal, which introduces a slight barrier for those who just want to get things but don't want to head on over to Colossal Games website to get the extra little modular expansion. So $25 on a $40 MSRP plus $8 shipping brings you to $33 on a roughly $40 MSRP, which I think is arguably worth it, meaning a $40 MSRP, you're talking about roughly $33 to $35 anyway, and you're getting a $33, that's before having to deal with any shipping or any hassle of getting it from 2 different places. So I think it's a fair price. I don't think it's an amazing price. I think it's a reasonable price for what you're getting if you get that faction acolyte. If you buy this one over here for $19, you're still paying $8 shipping, and you're getting a $6 discount on MSRP while paying $8, which means the recruit level I think you are overpaying for once you factor in shipping, versus the faction acolyte level is the level I would get if I were getting it on this. The playmat for $45, meaning, not to be clear, the playmat, which is an additional $20, but a $45 pledge, is going to basically get you this pledge over here and this playmat. The playmat looks gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. You do not need a playmat for this game. It looks beautiful. I'm almost kind of tempted to play with it if I had it, but you just don't need it. It's a small table space game, and the playmat will actually expand the amount of area this takes up on your table because you're just trying to make it look pretty and work. So it's pretty if you want to get it, but I don't think it's necessary at all. As far as the gameplay or whatnot, the game's going to come with, let me see over here. If I recall correctly, it was 32 cards in the base game, 32 cards per faction in the base game, of which I believe you only use, is it 18? I think you only use 18 of those 32. It might be not, was it 18? I think it was 18. So either way, 32 cards per faction, you only use 18. There's a degree of deck building, and then the various expansions are going to introduce more content in terms of more ways to build out your deck and your engine. Solid game. My biggest pet peeve with it was going to be the rolling of dice in combat. I did not like that at all, but other than that, I did enjoy the game very much. Past that, moving on from Lost Empires, we're going to have Dominations Deluxe. Dominations, which is the Road to Civilization. This is going to be by Holy Grail Games. This is going to be their big box version of Dominations, in case you missed out on the Kickstarter, or in case you got the Kickstarter but want the extra new stuff, because the extra new stuff doesn't look that bad. But for $55,000 raised, 675 backers, 18 days to go, this one just launched, and it's giving you a gigantic box over here. So if you scroll down, you'll see that you're getting basically, if you missed the first expansion, if you missed the first Kickstarter but you have all the stuff, you can buy the Empire pack, which is giving you all the stretch goals and things, or you can get this Deluxe pack, which is giving you all the new content, plus there's another expansion which we'll cut to when we scroll down. The short version of Dominations, for those who don't know, is Dominations is a game where you're going to place these little triangle tiles, as you can see on the screen in front of me, into a grid. You're going to match up the various corners, and that's going to give you resources. Additionally, you'll get resources for the center of the tile you placed, and then potentially some other things depending on if you complete circles or stuff like that. I'm not going into a full rules thing, just overview. And then additionally, that's all going to give you the resources, but what you're going to do with those resources is you're going to be building out these techs into this little slowly expanding grid, where you're both building out techs but also trying to match up these nodules of different colors to get different benefits from that. So lots of tech trees in this game. The most appealing thing in this game, I did a review, I have a review on my channel, you can check it out. Short version for myself is, I did not keep Dominations, but for myself, my main issue with it was that the game was longer than I would like for the experience I was getting. But I loved the degree of tech stuff over there. This is a game that I still miss, even though I got rid of it. The game gives you tons of text. The expansions all give you more stuff. So you just have a ton of different ways to branch out or build out your developing tech tree. My big issue with it was it was a 3-hour long experience, and I don't think it's supposed to be, but for us it was a 3-hour long experience whenever we played it, and it was longer than what we would like for a game in our collection, for a game that gave us this experience. But it was very rewarding to build out the tech trees. It was fun to lay down your little triangle nodules and figure out what resources you're getting. Overall, a solid game. I didn't get to try any of the expansion modules, so I never got around to those, but that's going to be overall that game. That's going to be overall Dominations. Dominations, the original Kickstarter, came with 4 different expansions, and the new Kickstarter is coming with, and plus stretch goals. The new Kickstarter is coming with another new expansion, which is going to be the expansion over here. The Deluxe set, we have the Deluxe slipcase, so that's going to be this giant slipcase, going to be storing your original Dominations base game, the 4 expansions, and then the new expansion over here, and that's going to be the Rise and Fall expansion, giving you, glory cards. You get them every time you perform a build action for city or monuments, as well as a corruption track to the game, different components, different ways to play out your experience. And then they are also giving you the additional content. The Rise and Fall box is also going to be giving you wooden sliders. Now, if you've played Dominations, I would love wooden sliders. The sliders they had in the original game were the least ideal component that they had. I love the upgrade to wooden sliders, and then as well upgrade solo mode, the popular storage, monument storage, which is going to give you storage for all the monuments, which are basically 3D creations you'll build, so you can properly store those, and then corrected cards for a handful of cards that were corrected. That's going to be everything going on over here. So, and also, if you're going to watch my review, I recommend watching Tom Vassal's review as well to balance it out, because like I said, I enjoyed the game but got rid of it. Tom Vassal, I believe, loved the game, so check out to get, a balanced approach to the game, and that's basically that. For the Kickstarter pledge options, so for over here, we have €35 or $43 for returning backers to give you all the new content for the game, which, and I'll tell you this much, if I had the game, I would 100% jump in on that, because the big box, I don't know if I care as much about the big box thing, because I would probably have tried to condense it. it, but I'd want the extra content and the little wooden pieces and the extra expansion stuff, all of that. And then from there we have for the Imperator Pledge for $181, €150, that gives you absolutely everything for the game. Now keep in mind, this is a bit of a bump compared to the original Kickstarter, meaning the original Kickstarter, if you back the original Kickstarter and then got the $43 add-on versus going all in on this, you're definitely getting a bit of a bump in price there, which I'm always fine with. I'm always fine with the idea of rewarding the earlier backers who backed a game before it had positive reviews and people and accolades and all that stuff. So overall, slightly more in terms of that, but nonetheless, tons of content. $181 is going to buy you a chunk full of game. As far as holding its value, the short version is the original Kickstarter. Just looking at the all-in for the original Kickstarter and looking at the secondhand market, it looks like it just held about par, meaning this is a game that you're not going to make your money back on extra, almost certainly, and it's a game where you might lose a little bit depending on the actual marketplace, how it's going, especially considering that the new Kickstarter has it at a higher price point. So if the original Kickstarter on the secondhand market, people are able to get back what they paid for it, and this one has that same content at a slightly higher price point, I would say if you back all in on this one, if you're trying to get all the content, you may well end up taking a small hit on that pledge. But, and also just from a practical stance, I don't think you need all the content. This is a game that you could play that base game 10 times easily before you even think to add new content to the thing. The way those technology tiles play out, the way you can go with different pathways to victory every single time is amazingly fun in this game. Tons of stuff in the base game. You don't need all the extras. If you play this game a ton, then sure, you'll need the extras, but just a lot of content here for this game. That's going to be Dominations by Holy Grail Games. Moving on, we have Dice Theme Park, and it is coffee break. I mean seltzer break, not coffee break. Force of Habit over there. By the way, this is going to be Board Game Coffee. I recommend watching his video on My Father's Work if you want a humorous and informative version of My Father's Work. So, Dice Theme Park. Wow, 45 minutes, and we still got a bunch to go. I am totally happy with my decision to cut 2 games from this video. Dice Theme Park. Dice Theme Park is going to be by Alley Cat Games, who have been on a roll recently. These people, oh my gosh, they went from, who's the other game? Who's the other company? The other company that did a lot, we're going to have Hippocrates by Game Brewer. Game Brewer and Alley Cat Games have been an absolute roll on Kickstarter. We have Eternal Palace, we have Tinner's Trail, we had, I guess that's going to be the most recent ones. We had 3 in a row just knocking out of the park: Tinner's Trail, Eternal Palace, and Dice Theme Park. Now, I held off from Tinner's Trail, I did not hold off from Eternal Palace, and I don't know if I'm going to hold off from Dice Theme Park. When I say hold off, I mean I probably should hold off, but I don't know if I will. Going on to that, Dice Theme Park is going to be a updated version of Dice Hospital, giving you similar aspects to the original Dice Hospital, which is one of their first Kickstarters, a game designed by Stan Kodonsky. And this is going to be this one's not designed by Stan Kodonsky. This is by Daryl Andrews and Adrian, I can't see the last name over there, by Daryl Andrews and Adrian someone, which was name is probably lower, Adrian Adamescu. Okay, there we go. But effectively, Dice Theme Park, it takes the core aspects of Dice Hospital and gives you new things going on there. It gives you more player interaction. It gives you cascading dice, and I guess an overview of Dice Hospital would probably be helpful. In both these games, in Dice Hospital and in Dice Theme Park, what you're basically going to be doing in those games is you're going to be taking on dice, which are either visitors or patients respectively, and then trying to put them in either rooms or rides to cater to their needs, what they want in terms of either the types of care or ride preference they have. Again, same game mechanics, different pasted on themes so far. You're also going to have staff of either doctors or, theme park staff being used as well to both buff up different things. And so the way you build out your hospital or theme park with the rides and or rooms and with the staff and or hospital workers, whatever it is, all those things effectively build your engine so you can most efficiently cater to the needs of the people coming into your respective establishments. Where the games diverge is Dice Theme Park has more interaction because the staff is going to be shuffled around, so the staff you use is not static, so that's a factor to take into account. Additionally, it has this aspect that has me very intrigued, which is cascading dice, which is this aspect. I don't know if I can find a good, and by the way, they have a little thing over here. You can check out the different aspects of what's going on over there. But the cascading dice, let me see if I can find it over here. They had a good GIF somewhere. Maybe it was in the video. I don't recall. But effectively, cascading dice is if you have these locations over here, what you can do is as you fulfill a visitor's needs, they go down a pip, and then you can move them to a different location and cascade them around your park, which gives you another strategic choice as you build out and develop your park of trying to manage your cascading movement of your visitors, which is a fun facet to the game. Because Dice Hospital, for myself, Dice Hospital was a game that I enjoyed, but got rid of because I found it to be on the lighter end of the spectrum. I thought it was good, I enjoyed it, no regrets, but also one that I wasn't keeping in my collection long term. Combine the fact that I prefer the theme of an amusement park with the fact that the cascading dice does sound like a fun module, and I am more intrigued in this one. I don't know if I'm backing it yet or not, but I'm certainly more intrigued in Dice Theme Park than I was in Dice Hospital. Now, before we go into price and modules and extras and all that, this question part for you. Did you know, at this point, did you know that this game is not just Dice Theme Park, but is also a Dice Theme Park, and then also the game Dice Hospital Roll and Write? Meaning it's 2 games in one Kickstarter. Because I've talked about this game, I've scrolled through the page, and you probably don't know that unless you are really paying attention to the actual campaign already. Which I just think is a little bit of a marketing fail in terms of Alley Cat Games, that they kind of have it really buried down in the pledge levels or on the page. So if you scroll into the pledge levels, we have, and by the way, I say that because I'm interested in the roll and write, because roll and writes are 100% my weak spot in terms of games that I should not be getting every single one of them, but I often and frequently do want to get every single one of them. But we have the base game edition of the game for $54. That's going to give you the Dice Theme Park, the Dice Theme Park promo pack, all unlocked stretch goals, all Kickstarter exclusive content. Then for $81, you get the deluxe edition of the game, which is going to give you a bunch of extras, including upgraded monorail. So there's like nice 3D things, the equivalent of the 3D ambulances you had in the deluxe version of Dice Hospital. And then for $97, an additional $16, basically, is that what it is? 81 to 97, $16. You'll get additionally you'll get the Dice Hospital Roll and Write game as well. And then finally, for $222, you get absolutely everything in the line, including the deluxe version of Dice Hospital and all the expansions for that as well. As far as the theme park, let's see if we can scroll down and follow the, not theme park, as far as the roll and write. Well, let's see if we can cover the things that we go through the page as we go. We have solo components, we have what's inside the box, deluxe add-on Kickstarter. So the deluxe add-on, which is going to be that extra, basically you're paying an extra $81.54, so you're paying, what is that, 54 to 80 is $27. An extra $27 you're paying for this stuff, which is going to be the 5 monorail miniatures, the 12 monorail inserts, the experimental rides mini expansions, so more attractions, more, so that's going to be 6 attraction tiles, we have 6 meeple skill cards, we have 1 administrator card, we have the innovations mini expansion, we have the 1 administrator card, the 48 new upgrade tokens. So that's going to be, and the solo components as well. So that's everything you're getting for an additional $27, which for myself, I'm intrigued by. I don't know if it's worth it, but I do very much fall in the category of, well, I want to see, because if I do like the game, then I want more for the game and more modules to mix up the experience. I just recently reviewed Merchant's Cove, and while I like it, don't get me wrong, I do very much like it, I did have critiques about the level of engagement or variability or depth to some aspects of the game, and I got lots of comments saying, hey, I hope you got the deluxe, secret stash, because that will definitely give you all those things you're looking for. So sometimes these things are nice, so we'll see how that goes. But in any case, moving on from there, the promo pack Kickstarters over here, the round track marker, we have the 4 staff cards with 2 alternate cards, more to be unlocked through social goals. That's all going to be in the promo pack for the Kickstarter. And then from there, we are going to have, if we keep scrolling down, why back now, okay, we have the gameplay spotlight, and then we have pledge levels where you can see all the stuff, including Dice Hospital, emergency roll, which is giving you that roll and write experience, and then of course, absolutely everything if you want to get, well, absolutely everything. As far as the roll and write, let's see, there's definitely over here some on the page. They literally buried it so far down that you have to, I can't even find it. Let me keep scrolling down, find the roll and write, and there we go. Lots of videos up there if you want to check them out. And here we go. Here's the roll and write, all the way down the page. So I can see people missing this left, right, and center, that they have a fully new game in this Kickstarter that is a roll and write, and people, like myself, sometimes like roll and writes. But a 20, 30-minute game, 1 to 6 players, simulating the core experiences of Dice Hospital, but in a roll and write experience. I believe it's more of a flip and write. You flip the cards, you get the ambulances, your patients, and then you have to try to figure out and build out your hospital in a way that can accommodate them, giving you the general gameplay feel of Dice Hospital, but in a roll and write experience. As far as value on this, should you back it, should you not? Short version is the same thing I've said for other Alley Cat games. Their games tend to do well, but not amazingly well. If you look at Dice Hospital on secondhand market, generally it has sold for less than people paid for it. Not by a lot, but even if you had the deluxe everything, you probably took, your $100 worth of pledge or whatever it was, and then you probably took like a $10, $15 hit on it. So you almost certainly will lose something. Their games do not seem to hold up that well, but they also hold up decently. It's not one that you're going to be taking a complete wash on if you need to sell it, if you find that it's not a game for yourself. The flip side is your options to get the deluxe stuff are generally either the Kickstarter or the secondhand market, which is why I'm probably going to be backing this one, because secondhand market is always a possibility, but a little harder to get your hands on those things, and a little bit of a risk. When will you get it? Will you get it? Will you be happy with the condition? All those different conversations that come up when you talk about buying secondhand games. And so so basically the degree of gap in price point here is one that has either option of either backing it or waiting a viable choice. And moving on from there, we're going to cover Judgement Eternal Champions. And I think we have this is going to be a long video. Judgement Internal Champions. This one I'm not going to be covering that much in depth because I'm not going to be covering the gameplay at all. It's a skirmish game, but they're not really focusing on that. They're focusing on the fact that it's a miniatures game. That's what they're if you go through the whole page, there's like barely anything on the content. You have to click through on how to play. You have to click through to external links to find out how to actually play this game. So yeah, it's a miniatures skirmish game that is going to be fairly expensive for the miniatures you're getting, which puts it more in the miniatures category, which also means I won't be talking about the value here, because when it's more miniatures than it is board games, I just don't think it's the same target market I'm familiar with. I think this is much more of a tabletop experience than it is a board game experience, and those stat sheets definitely make me think that even more. As far as the pledges over here, for $90, you can basically get the competitor's base set, which is 11 miniatures for $90 in plastic, in a PLA or something like that. I'm not sure what material it is, but it's not a resin, because the reason I know that is because $162 will get you all the resin, basically. Same 11 miniatures, but in resin instead. So if you scroll down over here, let's see the Y back now, there was definitely an option somewhere. It showed you the options. I can't find it here. The starter sets, PVC. So it's PVC or resin is going to be the options on the table. And again, $88, 88 US dollars, or roughly 90 or so, will get you 11 heroes in the material you choose, either $88 for the PVC, or $159 for the same ones in resin. So that's a decent amount of money for miniatures, you know, coming in between $10 to $17, $10 to $15 for each miniature is not a bad price when compared to some things, but also definitely not a great price when you're comparing it to traditional tabletop experiences, which is why I think it's much more of a miniatures experience than it is a board game experience. Doesn't mean it's a bad thing, just means it's not the same thing as what I'm typically looking at when I pull up a Command game or Mythic Battles or any of those types of situations. Then from there, for a little more, you can get the all the resin pledges as well, the resin options, and then for New Gods, you can get absolutely everything for the game, which is going to be a lot of money worth of stuff, but less in terms of the amount of miniatures you get, just because, again, this is more of a high price item in terms of what it's doing there. So no real comments on the value here. I don't imagine this will hold up well in value on the board game market if you're trying to sell it in like Board Game Geek or in a board game Facebook group, but I don't know what your options are in terms of a miniatures market to get rid of these if you don't like them. Moving on. We have Impendium and Novolux Reprint. Impendium and Novolux Reprint, $13,000 is funded day one. Happy for them. Funded in 3 hours. Forget day one. 272 backers, 25 days to go. This is going to be bringing you, well, Novolux, and it's bringing you Impendium, which is the expansion for Novolux. Is that the way I'm doing it? Yeah. Impendium, yes. It's giving you Novolux and the Impendium, which is the, not the expansion, it is the standalone game from in the same series, although there are aspects of the gameplays that you can combine between the two systems. And Novolux is basically a resource optimization game, and they have this on Kickstarter already. Like I said, this is a reprint plus more, and there's on Kickstarter already. It is a resource optimization game where you're trying to basically turn resources into other resources as you travel across the galaxy and build up your engine that allows you to most efficiently do so. Solid little puzzle. You can play it solo, you can play it competitively. Little, again, resource optimization engine. Impendium, on the other hand, Impendium is more of a galaxy control issue where you're still going to have resource to manage. You're just going to have all of those aspects to the game, but along the way you're trying to basically build up control over different aspects of the galaxy and then take on these larger creatures. I can't remember what they're called. You're taking on these larger creatures, which are the something or others. I'll see if I can find them here. There's some on the page. You're taking on larger creatures, is what the point is, but I don't remember what the name they are. They are the Harbingers. You're taking on the Harbingers of the Void as you have to battle them until eventually, you know, one player heads to a close and someone wins the game. Again, available in solo or a competitive mode, and additionally, there's a solo with an AI player in this one as well, so it gives you two ways to play solo. Solo plain or solo with other elements involved. And that's going to be the two gameplay systems over there. As far as pledge levels, for $35, you can get the Galactic Citizen, which is Impendium with all Kickstarter exclusives, and then $59, which is an additional $22, you can get Novolux thrown in. The original Kickstarter Novolux was $27, so this is a fairly good deal on Novolux if you didn't already have an option to get it. That's giving you like the best deal of the two combined, although technically the discount's probably for both of them. It just depends on how you look at it there. So that's going to be overall what you're getting for this one. I'm going to say the same thing I said the last time on this one, which is this one, it falls in the category of I do not see you getting your money back on this one for the game. The games are fairly small box, lots of stuff packed and condensed into it, and overall it is, while they are solid games, the number of the hype, the backers around these systems just isn't there for me to believe that you'll get your money back on it. The flip side, and this is the part where I checked on how Novolux is doing on the secondhand market, the flip side is because both these campaigns have a low enough backer threshold, it falls in that category of the ability to buy in the secondhand market is extremely limited because there's just not many copies being sold or traded online. And so your options of getting this, I would say if you want to get this, this is likely your best guaranteed option to get in on it, but at the same time, I do not think it'll hold its value if you find it's not a game for you. I do not imagine you're getting $57 back. What is it, 50? I do not imagine you're getting $59 plus your shipping back if you find these are not game systems for you. And that's going to be that. And we have one more to cover. MiniQuest Adventures, the board game book, a 1-4 player game, cooperative dungeon crawler game book, and I do recommend watching this video, and more than that, I'm actually going to pull this video up briefly, no audio or anything like that, because I want to show, if you're familiar with Katja Howitson from Board Game Revolution, either she's a promo in this game, or it's just a bizarre coincidence, because, here we go, discover the heroes, let's see who we have. No, not her, earlier. Let's go a little earlier, where was it? I know there was a Katja Howitson over here, discover the heroes, nope, there we go. That is 100% Katja Howitson, okay? We're going to do that again. Hopefully I'm saying the name correctly. But Board Game Revolution, she's definitely in this game. Just a complete unrelated side point. But MiniQuest Adventures is going to be a game by Jandusoft. Now, they have 5 created and 59 backed, but I do recommend looking through those because this is primarily a video game company. Their 5 created are video games, and their 59 backed, with like 1 or 2 exceptions, are going to be video games. And that's relevant. We'll come to that shortly. But basically, this is going to be 29 euros, $35 for the game to get in it. They had an early bird, but, you know, the early bird's gap's not that much. It's $5-6 or so, which again can be frustrating for some people, especially when the price point is this small and it's like 1/7 of the price point. But that aside, for $35, 29 euros for this game, MiniQuest Adventures is giving you a variable experience as you have these different books, the pages of the book. You're going to generate baddies and whatnot. You're going to have your heroes. You're going to try to slowly upgrade as you survive round after round of combat, take out the baddies as you level up, gear up, and level up. I said that one already, on your various heroes. That's basically the experience it's giving you. Looks solid, looks interesting. I do recommend watching the video. It'll give you a good feel for the game. I don't remember if they had content creation on the page. Do they have content creation? I don't remember. You have how to play. They don't have... Oh, there's Katja again. See? She can be over here. Martina Boulderhill. That's going to be her over there. And then I don't remember if I saw any content creation. I did not. And so that was going to be my first flag. Now, it is worth noting they did reach out to me, so it's not like they're completely unaware. They reached out. I believe they were just reaching out late to the game. But overall, this one, the price point, and it's Kickstarter exclusive, by the way. FAQ, it says Kickstarter exclusive. So they have the tag Kickstarter exclusive, and they're saying that in the header, but they also kind of use the word that it will likely never see retail. So I'm not sure if they're guaranteeing Kickstarter exclusive or saying it's likely Kickstarter exclusive. I'm not certain there, but again, if we go to the main page, it says Kickstarter exclusive. That's pretty specific, right? So we'll see how that one plays out. But if it is Kickstarter exclusive, that's a pretty good reason to back this one now. At $35 for the game, the amount of content you're being presented with is not bad. It may well hold its value in the secondhand market. It's hard to know for sure. It falls into a weird zone of it's cheaper on the one hand, it's Kickstarter exclusive on the other hand. The content in the game looks pretty decent, but the real question is going to be, is this game any good? And that's where all these other facets combine, because the gameplay does look good. Looking at the video, it looks good, looks intriguing. But at the same time, with being primarily a video game developer and not having that much experience in the range of board games, the only board game I saw backed in the 59 backed was Tiny Epic Dungeons, which isn't available yet. So this is not meant to be a form of gatekeeping, but I don't know what their background gaming experience is, which is to say, I just don't know if this is coming from someone who's like, we're diving into board games, let's see how this goes, versus it's coming from someone who's, I've played 14 other board games or 500 other board games and now I'm making my own. I don't know what the background to the game design is, and therefore whether I should have confidence in the game. If the game is good, then I think $35 is a great price tag for this, and it'll hold up. I mean, like, the amount of content you're getting here, the variable experience, I think that's solid, and the Kickstarter exclusivity. But if the game isn't good, that's where the risk part of this game comes in. And again, I said already, the fact that they didn't have content creation on the page, that's something I generally give Kickstarters a hard time for. It's because it's not that you need content creators, it's that the fact that you don't have it makes me wonder what your familiarity with the board game Kickstarter scene is, and that could be a flag in its own right. Now again, they did reach out to me, well, 3 days before the campaign started, which is just not enough time. I think they were just late to that party, so it looks like they are definitely making the right steps. Hopefully it's a solid game. I'm definitely paying attention to it. I don't know if I'm backing it yet or not. We'll find out in my what I backed or not situation, but I am intrigued by this one. Like Legends of Void, I'm intrigued by what is being shown to me, while not being confident that what I'm looking at is going to be a great game or not. Just a question of risk or not. And then lastly from there, the two I'm pushing off to next week, just so you know that they are coming, is going to be Station Fall with 13 days to go, so I'm going to cover that next week, and then Agents of Smersh Epic Edition will be covered next week as well. Those are both things I just don't have time to cover because we are already at an hour into this video, and that is basically everything in terms of the to back or not to back. I am Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. Thank you so much for bearing with me throughout this extensively long video, and as always, have a good one. That's my little treasure chest of my miniature stuff, my metal stuff. I have my metal meeples from Wyrmwood and my metal dice from the Kickstarter from, I can't remember the name of the company, the Dice Kickstarter. And I store all that in my little HeroQuest box that HeroQuest sent me this little promo box when they had their Kickstarter going on to show a miniature or whatnot, which I showed, and that's all I had. It was like a miniature and showing it. But I do like the box. I use this for my cool little things that I collect on my desk. That's going to be that. Now, I did save this specifically for the end. At some point, this kind of announcement will be in the beginning of the video. I don't know exactly how I'm doing this yet, but if you missed my week in review, because I talked about this in my week in review, but I do have a new Patreon exclusive series that is basically starting. It started last week, and this is going to be the second video. Well, not this. Right after I'm done talking to you here, I'm going to be filming the second one, and it'll go up tomorrow, but on Patreon exclusive and at the $5 tier or above, which I made the mistake of not saying that on Saturday when I did the week in review, which means I got a bunch of $2 Patreon signing up and then possibly canceling or being frustrated, which I apologize for. I wasn't trying to deceive, just forgot to mention. So what's going on is as follows. We have a $5 tier or above Patreon exclusive series that is on Patreon, basically, where if you sign up for that, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to going through all the games I just went through, every single one of them, and being much harsher with the value aspect of whether you should or shouldn't back it, not just from the value aspect, but just trying to give you reasons, trying to incentivize you to not back things and all the reasons to consider as to why not. The reason this is Patreon exclusive is twofold. One is to be very, very clear, and again, I said all this Saturday, but I'm saying it again in case you missed it. One is to be very, very clear, this is not a fair and balanced approach conversation. The fair and balanced approach is what I try to do in this series you just watched, to back or not to back. I try to give you the reasons why not to, but also the reasons why to. Perhaps, sure, it may not hold its value, but it might be your best chance of getting it, that kind of thing. This video is going to be very focused specifically, not on making things up, but on focusing mainly on the negative things. It's not to say everything's going to be a don't back, but I would imagine like 80 to 90% of what I cover is going to be like, you probably shouldn't back this. Now, you can obviously do what you want. I will be telling you to not back things that I will be backing myself. It's a series that's meant to be designed around the idea that there are so many Kickstarters coming out, and if you're trying to be budget conscious, I'm going to try to give you all the reasons to pick the best of the best in terms of value, replay value, potential gameplay, all those different facets. I want to pick the ones that stand out in every realm, as opposed to just more games that are good. Nothing against the games that are good. Again, I'll be backing a lot of the ones that I told you not to back. So the reason it's behind a Patreon paywall is, one, is because I believe in giving value to people who are patrons, and I believe in, incentivizing people to become patrons, and so I want to have more Patreon regular content. So there's that facet. That's why it's the $5 tier. And then the second reason is because I want anyone who watches the video to understand very specifically that it is not a fair and balanced approach. I don't want people stumbling upon this on the YouTube algorithm. So something like this, where I'm not being fair, but I'm being effectively mean and telling you not to back Kickstarters that are perfectly reasonable to back, that I want that to be something that YouTube is not just randomly choosing to show people. It's you chose to watch it knowing exactly what it was. And even so, at the beginning of every single video, I'm going to spend a good minute harping on that idea. That this is not a fair and balanced approach. It is me trying to incentivize. Like, someone came up with the name, I can't remember the name exactly, but it's something like, convince me not to back is like the name of the series. And that's the goal. I'm going to be trying to convince you not to back, while also being very clear that sometimes there are definitely games that there's just too many reasons to back it that you probably should back it. That's going to be the goal of the series. And I'm going to go hang up. I'm going to go end this video and film that one right now.